Do you feel the vibes?
Who am I? That's a really good question. All I know is that I'm crazy about Christ and I want to ruffle feathers. I want to swim upstream. I want to discuss things, tackle things, challenge norms and ideas like why Jesus? Because I don't believe he existed. I think it's a whole farce, but we'll deal with that another time. I really just want to speak about life as a young Christian, a real life, not a holier than thou life, not a life of pretense, but a life of a real Christian girl, a real Christian wife, challenges, wins, obstacles that we face, and actually things that will help us grow in the spirit. Why Christianity? That is a long-winded answer. To be honest, I wasn't looking to be Christian. I actually didn't want to be Christian for various reasons. I felt like for the past, let's say, 15 years, this God wasn't doing anything for me. I didn't believe in Jesus. At some point, I was in a ministry for a very long time, 8 years to be exact, that had a prophet that I felt wasn't prophesying. I felt like he didn't say anything that made sense to me. And life got harder and harder and harder the more I decided that I want to get to know this Christ more. So I obviously, during that 8 years, in fact even 12 years into that, I tried going to Izangoma as things got worse in my life. I went to Inyanga. You try become Muslim, Hindu, Buddhism. You try all these things. Where the crux or the change happened, it was on the 12th of December. On this day, I had decided to end my life. Things had gotten to a point where I literally just couldn't deal with anything anymore. And I figured that no one cared about me, no one loves me, and no one's going to miss me, and it was at a point in my life where I kept trying things over and over again, and they would look like they were going to work, but then they didn't. And I didn't understand about generational curses. I didn't understand about curses. I didn't understand about needing deliverance. So I was just at a point where God doesn't exist. He doesn't care. I don't need to be here because I don't see what difference I'm actually making. So that day I was going to kill myself. I was invited to a service, and I went to the service, and they called for an altar call, and I remember dancing back and forth in my chair, and I was trying to debate, do I want to go? What does that even mean? And I eventually stood up and joined the people at the front because I wanted to apologize to God, because I knew that suicide was wrong. I knew that I'd go to hell and it's a sin. The things that you're taught, but nothing that I actually knew, but it's what I was taught. So I went there and I was just like, Jesus, I'm sorry, but I need to do this. Wada, 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 wada. It was after that was done when the prophet in that church decided to tell me that if I hadn't gone, he wouldn't have been able to help me. So obviously what they do at altar call is they'll ask you to repeat a few things. That's when you reconnect with Christ and you say that you accept him as your Lord and Savior, etc., etc. So after that, I'd obviously renewed my relationship with Christ, and he was ready to now deal with me directly. This man of God, such respect for him. His name is Apostle Dr. Nhlanhla Mabaso. He's a medical doctor, he's a surgeon, he's a scientist, he's all these things, very well qualified. But I think what I respected most is for the first time in my life, that was 2015, hey? He was able to answer questions I'd been asking God for years. Why things were going wrong, why my relationship with my parents was the way that it was. He was able to speak about things that were breaking me apart as a person, and yet no one could actually give me any comfort with those topics. I would go to Izangoma and they would say they don't see anything. I would talk to Inyanga and they would give me things that don't work. So I was really desperate, but he answered, and he answered in detail, and that for me really secured the fact that God does exist and he does care, and that is where I was supposed to be. So that is how I chose to be a Christian and an insane Jesus freak. So I think throughout life, the one consistent career I've always wanted to have was to be a superhero. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why, But I love the fact that they were the comeback kids. They bounced back. They were undefeatable. They couldn't die. I love the fact that they were real, yet they were given these superpowers, and most of them didn't understand them because they either got them through inheritance, or it was some chemical accident, or a spider bite, for example. So I've always wanted to become a superhero, and I think I've always wanted to be in careers where I could superhero per se. So being a doctor, I wanted to become a doctor. My maths is beyond suspicious to this day. We thank God for calculators. I wanted to be a musician. I've always seen myself on like a world stage. My voice is, you know what I mean? But I love singing and it really brings me joy. So I definitely want to be in something in media, something in the arts. Those that know me know that I'm here. I do this. I'm sure if my husband would actually be honest with me, I possibly talk in my sleep as well. So definitely something in media. If I could speak, if I could sing, if I could motivate. I actually came up with a term, or let me say, adopted a term that I found on someone else's page, and that is a motivangelist. So that is a career that I am currently building and I'm molding. But if I could choose something else, it would be something in the medical field. I'd probably want to go into psychiatry. I'm so obsessed with human behavior. I'm obsessed with the brain. I'm obsessed with how people react to such, and I'm in the marketing field, so that for me would make sense, because I feel like we lack that base as to how would a target market or how would a brand be received by people out there if it designed itself a certain way, if it sounded and looked a certain way, if it immersed itself in the market in a certain way. So yeah, that would be me.
Do you feel the vibe?